There are moments when history doesn't announce itself with cheers, parades, or celebration. Instead, it arrives behind closed doors, in silent hallways, and in conversations the world is never meant to hear. What happens when the person carrying a nation's oldest symbol of continuity suddenly faces a battle no title can control? And when duty collides with mortality, which one survives? For decades, King Charles devoted his life to preparing for the responsibility he eventually inherited. Every public appearance, every ceremony, and every state occasion reinforced the image of a monarch whose duty came before everything else. But even the crown cannot negotiate with time. As concerns over the king's health intensified, the atmosphere inside the royal household reportedly became far different from the calm image presented to the public. While official statements emphasized stability, those closest to the monarch understood that every appearance demanded more energy than before. Behind every smile was an effort invisible to millions watching from afar. The challenge wasn't simply medical, it was constitutional. The British monarchy depends on continuity. Every royal engagement, government meeting, diplomatic event, and national ceremony reassures the public that the institution remains steady. Any interruption naturally raises questions, not only about one individual, but about the future of the crown itself. That created an impossible balancing act. On one side stood a king determined to continue serving. On the other stood advisors, family members, and medical specialists urging caution. Each additional engagement demonstrated resilience, yet every appearance also carried a physical cost that became increasingly difficult to ignore. As pressure mounted, discussions quietly shifted from maintaining normality to preparing for every possible outcome. Within palace walls, senior officials reportedly reviewed plans for temporarily redistributing royal responsibilities should circumstances require it. Such contingency planning is not unusual for the monarchy. It exists precisely to preserve constitutional stability during periods of uncertainty. But its growing importance reflected the seriousness of the moment. For Prince William, the situation carried a unique emotional burden. As heir to the throne, he understood that additional duties might eventually become necessary. Yet accepting more responsibility could easily be misunderstood by the public. Stepping forward too quickly might appear ambitious, while stepping back entirely could leave the institution vulnerable during a difficult period. It was no longer simply about succession, it was about protecting both the monarchy and the father behind the title. Queen Camilla faced a different struggle. Away from cameras and ceremonial occasions, she was no longer supporting only a sovereign. She was caring for the man she had shared her life with. Every revised schedule, every canceled appearance, and every medical appointment reminded her that behind the pageantry existed a deeply personal battle. For the wider royal family, uncertainty spread in different ways. Princess Anne continued carrying out engagements with characteristic dedication, while other working royals quietly prepared to shoulder additional responsibilities if needed. Each decision had to preserve public confidence without suggesting that the king's reign was already ending. Meanwhile, public speculation grew louder. Every canceled engagement became headline news. Every appearance or absence was analyzed in extraordinary detail. Social media filled with theories, while commentators debated what the future might hold. Yet much of the conversation overlooked something essential. Illness affects families before it affects institutions. Behind the official statements stood children worried about their father, a wife worried about her husband, grandchildren hoping for more time with someone they knew simply as grandfather. Those private emotions rarely appear in palace announcements, yet they often define moments like these far more than constitutional procedures ever could. As preparations continued, one reality became increasingly clear. Leadership sometimes means recognizing when others must temporarily carry responsibilities that one person no longer safely can. For someone whose identity had long been shaped by service, accepting help may have required even greater strength than continuing to work despite exhaustion. That realization marked a profound turning point. Rather than viewing temporary delegation as surrender, it became a way to protect both the king's health and the long-term stability of the institution he had spent a lifetime preparing to lead. Prince William's expanding role, therefore, represented not the beginning of a new reign, but an effort to preserve the current one. Each engagement undertaken by the heir carried an important message: continuity without replacement. The crown itself remained unchanged, even as the workload shifted among trusted members of the royal family. In many ways, this reflected one of the monarchy's oldest strengths. Its endurance has never depended entirely on one individual. Instead, it has survived generations by adapting during moments of crisis while maintaining the traditions that define it. History has repeatedly shown that institutions endure when people place responsibility above personal pride. If there is one lesson to emerge from this chapter, it is that courage is not always found in refusing to step back. Sometimes courage means trusting others enough to carry the burden beside you. For a king whose life has been defined by duty, accepting that truth may prove to be one of the most significant decisions of his reign, not because it demonstrated weakness, but because it revealed something far more enduring. The strongest crowns are not those carried alone. They are the ones protected by family, supported by duty, and strengthened by the courage to face even the hardest realities together.